Okay, welcome to our video. This is part 2 of 4.3, writing linear equations in slope-intercept form. So in this video, we are still talking about slope-intercept form. And before we jump right into things, let's recall the formula for that. So it's y, whoops, if my pen would work, y equals mx plus b. And let's identify the parts of this equation. Y and x will remain variables. M is your slope and b is our y-intercept, okay? So in our last video over the weekend, when we were practicing writing equations in slope-intercept form, let me back up here a little bit. It was really easy because if those two pieces of information, slope and y-intercept, if they're just given to us, it's just a matter of plugging those things into the equation. So like for this one, let's think back for a second. Number 25, we had y equals 5/3 because that's what our slope was, x plus 2 because that's what our y-intercept was. So we were literally taking these two pieces of information, the slope and the y-intercept, and plugging them in where they go. It was just that easy. All right, back to the front. But now we're going to be looking at situations where your slope and y-intercept aren't just blatantly given to you. I mean, that was pretty easy. But now what about if you don't have the y-intercept? What if you're given the slope and another point? So not necessarily a y-intercept point, but a point that the line goes through. So any random point on the line. What do you do if that's the only information you have? Or what about if you don't get the slope at all and they just give you 2 points on that line? What will you do then? All right, so that's the kind of stuff we're going to look at today. So there's a little bit more algebra involved in these. When we are given the slope and 1 point, here are the steps you're going to follow. First, you need to just take a second, look at the equation, and identify all your parts. So remember what m is. It's a slope. So identify your slope, your input, and your output. So basically the x and y of your ordered pair. Okay, so if you're given a point, it's going to be an ordered pair. All right. So once you identify all those pieces of information, you're going to plug m, x, and y into this formula. Where are they going to go? Right here. Y, m, and x. All right. So you're going to notice the only thing left is going to be b. So you're solving for b because what's b? The y-intercept. That's the piece of information that you were missing up here. So once you find this y-intercept, you're going to go back to the original formula here and you're going to plug everything in that you need to have in slope-intercept form. All right? I think maybe it'll be a little bit easier to understand if you just go ahead and start an example. So right down here, number 45, and you know what? I kind of want to leave so that the steps are visible on your screen. Okay, so we have the equation of a line that goes through this point, -4, 3, and has a slope of -2, all right? So we're gonna follow our steps at the top. Let's identify the parts. Let's see, we have m equals, well, what's m? M is always our slope. So -2. We have x equal to -4 and y equal to 3, okay? Where did I get -4 and 3 from? From this point, okay? X comma y is an ordered pair. All right, so now let's plug m, x, and y into our formula. Y equals mx plus b. So we have y, which is 3, equals mx plus b. So m is -2. Times x, which is -4, plus b. So we need to solve for b. So let's just go ahead and use our order of operations. PEMDAS says to multiply before you do any addition. So here we have -2 times -4. We'll have 3 equals +8 plus b. And how do I solve for b? Let's subtract 8 from both sides. And 3 minus 8 is -5. Equals b. So we have b is equal to -5. All right, so now we have our slope right here in yellow, and we have our b, which is our y-intercept. So now if we have slope and we have y-intercept, it's just back to our video from part 1 when we were given slope and y-intercept and we just plugged it into the equation. You're just going to do the same thing now. So let's go back and plug this information into the slope-intercept form. So our final equation is going to be y, I'm losing my voice, y equals m which is -2 still, x plus b. B is -5, so you can have plus -5 or just -5. And that's our equation. All right, just for the sake of practice, let's go ahead and graph this equation. So we have our y-intercept at -5. So let's start down here at -5, make a point. And our slope is -2 over 1. So we can't go down too much more, but let's just eyeball it, okay? Down 2, 1, 2, and over 1. So let's just say it's like right about here. And I'm just going to use those 2 points. One thing that you could do is to plot it in reverse. So you could go up 2 and to the right one. I'm sorry, to the left one. And that's kind of working in reverse from your slope. Okay, so that you can have some more points so you can see a better graph of the line. And connect it with a straight edge. All right, and that's how we graph. Okay, let's do another one. Number 46. We have an equation that goes through this point, 5, 1, and we have a slope of -4/5. So let's plug everything in. Well, first let's identify m equals -4/5, x equals 5, and y equals 1. So let's plug everything into the formula and solve for b. So we have y equals, so 1 equals mx, so -4/5 times +5 plus b. All right. So let's do a little bit of multiplying here. We have to multiply fractions. Remember with fractions, multiplying, you don't need a common denominator, just multiply straight across. So this is like saying 5 over 1. So we'll have 4 times 5 is 20. Don't forget your negative. So -20 divided by 5 times 1 in the denominators is 5 plus b. All right. What is -20 divided by 5? -4 plus b. And add 4 to both sides. And b equals 5. Okay. So now we have slope and we have y-intercept right here. That's what b is. Okay. So let's plug it into the formula so that we can get an equation. Y equals mx. M is -4/5. X plus b plus 5. Whoops. Okay. All right. Let's, for the sake of practice, let's graph this. We have a y-intercept at +5, so that's up here. And our slope is -4/5, so we need to go down 4 to the right 5. Rise over run. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. I could plot another point, but I'd be going off the graph, so I'm just going to stop here and kind of do the best with what I've got. Okay, so that's the graph of our line. Pay close attention to the fact that both of these lines are downhill lines, and they should be because both slopes in the equation are negative. This one's -2 and that one's -4/5. Now before we move on, we've got 2 more on the back, but I already know the 2 on the back are going to be given 2 points. So what do you do if you're just given 2 points? Think about it for a second. Well, we know that if we have 2 points, we can find slope, can't we? Remember, slope is m equals the difference between the y's, so y2 minus y1 over the difference between the x's, x2 minus x1. Okay, so if we have 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, we can plug that information in to find slope. And this should not be anything difficult for you because we've been working with slope for a long, long time now. All right, once you find the slope, now you're just going to go back to over here and do all this information. Okay, so find the slope between the 2 points, reduce if you need to. Then use either of the points to pick x and y and basically do what you did over here. All right? So let me show you what I mean by that. Let's flip to the back and do them backwards. So we have 2 points. We have 0, 4 and -3, 1. Let's call this x1, y1 and x2, y2. First thing we need to do here is find the slope. So m equals the difference between y's. So that's y2 minus y1. We'll have 1 minus 4. Divided by x2 minus x1. -3 minus 0. Let's do this math. 1 minus 4 is -3, and -3 minus 0 is -3. And -3 divided by -3 is +1. All right, so that's our slope, just 1. All right, so let's pick one of the points that was given to us. We'll use this as our slope. And gee, I don't know. I mean, rule of thumb, I would just go ahead and use the first one that you see and call that the point you're going to use. And now let's do the stuff that we did on the first page. Let's identify each piece of information. M equals 1, X equals 0, and Y equals 4. So let's plug all that stuff into our equation for slope-intercept form and solve for our y-intercept. We have y equals mx plus b, so 4 equals 1 times 0 plus b. All right, this one's going to be pretty easy. What's 1 times 0? What's anything times 0? 0. So we have 4 equals 0 plus b is just b. All right, so our y-intercept is 4. All right, so now that we have our slope and our y-intercept, let's make an equation of this line. Y equals m, which is 1, so 1x plus 4. If we just put y equals x plus 4, we know that that's 1x, okay? So here's our equation for this line. Let's go ahead and graph. Our y-intercept starts at +4, and our slope is 1, so rise over run is going to be 1 over 1, 1 over 1, 1 over 1. So let's go up 1 over 1, make a point. Up 1 over 1, make a point. Let's do this in reverse so we can get some points going this way. Let's start at the original one and go this way. Whoops. Let's go down here. Over 1, down 1, over 1, down 1. Okay, so we're just going in reverse so we can get some more points for this graph. Connect with a straight edge. And there's the graph of this line. Now this one obviously is an uphill line because our slope is positive. All right, one last one. I want you to go ahead and try this on your own, okay? Resume the video when you think you've got it to check your work. I'm going to give you a couple of hints. First, you need to find your slope, and then plug it into the formula the way I've been doing to solve for your y-intercept. Okay, hopefully you got +2/5. Please realize that a negative divided by a negative turns this whole thing positive, and it stays 2/5. All right, so now you have your slope, and choose one of your points. I'm going to just choose the first one and plug it in. Find your y-intercept, solve for b. Try that now again. Okay, hopefully you got your y-intercept to be 4. This problem kind of worked out exactly like number 47 did. When we multiply our slope by 0, well, that becomes 0. So we just have 4 equals b. All right, so now that you have your y-intercept, which is b, and you have your slope up here, which is 2/5, plug that stuff in to make an equation. Okay, the equation for this line should be y equals 2/5 x plus 4. Let's go ahead and graph. Try that on your own also one last time. Start at +4. Okay, here's the graph of our line. Realize that it is an uphill line because this is a positive slope. All right, guys, I have 2 more down here on the bottom for you to try on your own. We're going to go over these in class tomorrow. Make sure you realize that this first one, you have a point and a slope, so you'll do the first method. And then on the second one here, number 50, you have 2 points without a slope. So you need to find slope first. All right. Good luck. Resume the video when you think. Good luck. We'll go over these in class tomorrow. Don't forget to do your summary questions. Have a good night.